getting shifted back to the back burner in favor of Andy Dalton for the Carolina Panthers. I'm not on the team that this is a similar situation, but it's awfully similar that this is sort of a new wave here, that coaches are not afraid to turn away from their first-round picks in favor of veterans, whether it be for experience or just not playing well.
I liked your take of this is different because Indianapolis is actually good.
They can win games.
Carolina's awful. Indianapolis is 4-4. What did we talked to Mike Tannenbaum last segment. He said he gives them a pretty fair chance of making the playoffs, and I would agree with that. I love their coach. I love Steichen, and I think that this team has what it takes, and let's call it for what it is, too. Flacco, there's a good taste in your mouth of Joe Flacco from last year with the Browns, and even the small
He's probably the best backup in the league.
You got to think so. And even the small sample size you've seen this year when he's been able to step into that role, you really like it. Colin, I'm not sure if Richardson is a franchise quarterback. I think Richardson needs to do a little growing up. Like the whole taking himself out of the game.
Which is one of the biggest jokes I've ever seen on an NFL
with
field.
You. Like you can't, brother, you cannot do that. And I think maybe this could be a move by head coach Shane Steichen to kind of like sit him down and go, listen, we got to turn you into a professional. We got to turn you into a quarterback that the team wants to rely on, that's someone that the team can go to. Like Mike T brought up the locker room too. That's a good shout. Like, does the locker room want to trust a guy who's been to the playoffs last year and won a Super Bowl? Or are they going to trust the guy who physically took himself out of the game? And Colin, did he say a prayer on the sideline?
It looked like he was praying, which was a stupid part. But then he said he was, after postgame, he was resting. He was tired. It was 3rd and 20 in the red zone.
You can't do that. You can't do that. And I think there's a lot of growing up to do from Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis. Hey, listen, my last take on this. Fair play to Shane Steichen for doing this.
I give him credit for this.
Fair play to the old gaffer for doing this.
People who want to bash him have no idea how bad he has been. 44% completion percentage.
Colin, we saw this in college. And driving home from the Heat last night, we talked about this a little bit. Brother, I told you, like, the first 4 games he looked great last year before the injury. I understand that. But the games he started this year, and teams had access to those first 4 games last year, I think the book was found out about him a little bit. He likes to go downfield, and he likes to throw a couple of 50-50 balls. But we saw these problems in college. When Anthony Richardson got taken...
Or you didn't see it because he never played.
Here's the problem with me. When Anthony Richardson got taken with the 4th overall, I go, this kid couldn't even start for Florida last year, let alone be a quarterback in the NFL. I had to eat a little bit of crow when he started the first 4 games and looked good. You're like, all right, this kid has something. But now this year, with the full year, quote-unquote, with hopefully a full year under his belt, now it's been a nightmare. And I could only go to the card of, I think the book's out on him a little bit.
Yeah, and the way I would differentiate this is if you're a player in that locker room, and it's a little different if you're the Carolina Panthers with Bryce Young. Bryce Young was more of a confidence thing. Anthony Richardson is a professional thing. This is a professionalism thing that he has to sort of figure out in his own psyche, that I am an NFL quarterback. I am the poster boy of an NFL franchise. I have to start acting like it. And I know he's super young and he's super talented. So the same thing I said about Young and the same thing I'll say to him is this is entirely up to you on how you want to take this. This is entirely up to Anthony Richardson on if he wants to take this constructively or if he wants to take this personally.
Right.
And if you take this constructively, then sit back, watch Flacco win a bunch of games. He played well when he was under them, and let the team do what they got to do. Because all of a sudden, the other veterans in the locker room, they don't respect you for doing stuff like that by taking yourself out of the game and taking all these nonsense deep shots and turn the ball over 5 times a game. They don't respect you for that. Sit back, learn. This is what they should have done from the beginning. And if he can take this constructively, he's got all the talent in the world. I think he stinks. And I don't think just because Josh Allen worked out and just because, those prototypical giant behemoth superior athlete humans that weren't very good at quarterback, just because he worked out and he was able to fine-tune his skills into an all-pro quarterback, doesn't mean that's always going to happen. It does not mean that, the Brandon Whedons of the world, that the giant quarterbacks can all of a sudden just put it all together if you give them time. I don't think that's going to happen with him.
You got to be able to play the position. That's the biggest thing. You got to be able to play the position. And I want to rewind to 2022, folks. I watched a Florida and Kentucky game in the Swamp, which featured Anthony Richardson and Will Levis. And at the end of that game, I go, why in the hell are these guys projected to be first-round picks? Honest to God. That was my first reaction to that game. Richardson single-handedly, and I'm sorry, I rarely do this. It's rarely one person's fault why you lose a game, but Richardson single-handedly made Florida lose that game. And Will Levis didn't do anything that you're going, wow, this is the guy too. And to your point, Levis has the body frame, and so does Richardson. You have to be able to play the position. Now, Colin, if I had my choice of a 6'4" quarterback or a 6-foot quarterback, you're going to go with the guy with the giant body frame. But I love the point that you brought up. You got to be able to play the position. Just because he looks the part and he talks like the part, when you get on the field, you got to be able to play. And you haven't been able to see that from Richardson. The Colts are 4-4. I love the move.
7 interceptions. Color me surprised that Anthony Richardson, the guy who barely played in college, and when he did play, was terrible against college players, is even worse against NFL players. Color me surprised. So
well, yeah, I feel like, Colin, everyone got, I don't want to
You want to get jazzed about 3 games? Be my guest.
Everyone got fooled. I don't want to, is fooled the wrong word?
No, but you catch people by surprise. You play with adrenaline. Right. You have this sense of things worked out. He has major mechanical issues, and he has major work ethic issues. Mm-hmm. Fix that. Yep. You have the best backup in the league. You have a chance to make the postseason. Forget him. Put him on the back burner. Go with your QB coach and go to Pasadena in the offseason, whatever the hell you do, and circle back next year and hope they don't draft another one. So that is what Anthony Richardson can do here. It is Joe Flacco's team for the foreseeable future. Be ready if he gets hurt. But in the meantime, you are sitting in the corner and figuring out your own crap. That's the Anthony Richardson we need to see for the next couple weeks.
If Steichen, and it shoulda, coulda, woulda, this take's about to be, but if you would have started Flacco this past week, you win. I think you win that game. I know it was
granted they should have beat. They had every chance to beat Jacksonville
correct.
As well. So.
But here's it, like recency bias, right? I watched a lot of that game on Red Zone. And when the Colts got, what was it, the scoop and score, or when they got the fumble, I'm like,
back, but yeah.
good golly. You know, if you had a guy who didn't go 10 for 32 and have a QBR of 30.
Started 3 of 16.
Hanging on to the ball.
And I know there's 5 drops in those first 4 drives.
But can I have another complaint about Richardson? Partner, get rid of the ball. 5 sacks? And I know that's what it comes with young quarterbacks. You see Caleb Williams taking sacks. Hell, you see Jaden Daniels sometimes taking sacks.
He's got a better offensive line than those guys do, but I understand.
But 5 sacks, too. You got to be able to get rid of the football.
He sails it. He is entirely, it's an erratic arm. It does remind me in a lot of ways of Allen, his rookie year. But Allen also got hurt for a couple games and settled down a little bit. And that was crucial in his rookie year.
And you might dismiss this, but you just, in my opinion, you just saw that Allen was a gamer. Like, you just saw that Allen
had a lot of issues. Allen had a lot of
but
issues.
He didn't back down from a challenge. You loved it.
I agree. He did. Allen was willing to take the punch on the chin. You're not getting that sense from Anthony Richardson.
No,
I agree with you on that.
No. Like, I feel like Allen loved the challenge, and I loved what I saw from him in the run game. Now, it's not sustainable as a quarterback. You don't want your quarterback barreling over defenders. I understand that. But you saw something from Allen, man.
Yeah. I don't like those comparisons either. We know how talented he is. There's plenty of quarterbacks who have giant arms. That is not what it takes in this league. That is not. There's a reason Joe Flacco is 36 years old, 37 years old, and he's able to still win a couple games. He knows how to play.
And he knows how to manage a game, right? He knows that
you have a talented roster. Let them win the game. He tries to play so much hero ball.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's a young game, to your point. Young quarterbacks, man.
So Color, I think it's a problem from the beginning that they threw him out there. They reached for him, number one. And then, 2, they played him too early. So that is the conclusion that you could come to with Anthony Richardson. You drew your cards too early.
Well, and last year you had Minshew, too. You know, the Colts almost made the playoffs with Minshew.
Yeah, Minshew's another guy who him and Flacco just find their way to the starting position at some point or other in the season. But you drew your cards too early. He was the youngest guy in the draft. You should have let him sit and marinate for 2 years, at least.
I was not,
People thought Love was a project. Anthony Richardson was a different animal compared to Love.
People are trying to argue that this is a bad move.
Yeah, I've seen it.
How? When I saw this, I go, oh, it's about time. That was, honest to God, that was my reaction.
The last straw was that Sunday charade taking himself out.
I go, about time. And